Hello, Esther. Esther Ráez Martinez. It's lovely to be able to talk to you. You're my first guest today on Cup of Coffee. And I want to know what you do at Cudeca and how long have you been part of the Cudeca family?
Sandy, it's a pleasure being here with you today. We've been planning this for a few days, a few weeks. It's absolutely amazing that we could actually get together here in the Cudeca Institute and do this for Cudeca. Actually, what I do here is communication. I speak with the press and I try to speak out about what we do. And also I do fundraising for Cudeca. So I'm in the communication and fundraising department. I do have other colleagues in my department doing more or less what I do as well. We all share duties here in my department. But I am actually trying to let the community know what's happening in Cudeca, what we need, and if they want to celebrate a charity event to help us raising funds. So I help them and I'm there with the community. I'm basically out there being with everyone who's trying to help.
And what about 1 in a Million? Tell me about how you got involved with that and what you're doing with that.
1 in a Million is so special to me as it is special to all of my colleagues in Cudeca. 1 in a Million is in memory of Joan Hunt, our founder, whom you know passed away a year ago. And 1 in a Million is touching my heart dearly. It is part of my job helping Cudeca, as I said before, helping Cudeca get the people know about our crowdfunding campaigns, because it's actually one of the main ways we found out to raise funds to continue helping, continue caring for so many. So this is the basis of my job with the campaign, and I was into it, planning strategies for communication, planning how to get to the people, how to explain the message, which I'm sure we will discuss a bit later. And that was basically it, Sandy.
And that 1 in a Million is the campaign for the new Cudeca Children's Care Hospice.
That's right.
Which we are going, I say we because I feel very much part of Cudeca. I've been part of it for 30 years. But that we are now going to be building specifically for children. And this is the first hospice in Spain for children.
That's right.
So tell me more about it.
Yeah, and it's touching me a lot what you just said, that you feel part of Cudeca. That is actually what I'm trying to transmit, that everybody who's out there trying to help us is part of what we do. So anybody who was donating, giving money, giving time, giving things for the shops for us to sell and get some money back, everybody who was doing that during our campaign and since we started 30 years ago, these people, these companies, these businesses, these are part of Cudeca as well, as you just said.
You have got major companies who are alongside you.
That's right.
Are you able to share who they are?
Well, when we had the closure of the campaign a month ago, we presented this banner, which is going to be to explain that. We explained that to you in the closure of the campaign, that this banner was presenting the names of businesses and families and people and donors who gave more than 250 euros. So those names will be in plaques right in one of the walls of the pediatric unit. So I would love to invite everybody to come pass by Cudeca, get to know us, see the wall, see those names, see that, because that is very emotional to see. Can you imagine this, Sandy? A family being cared by my colleagues, the doctors and nurses in Cudeca. This family in this pediatric unit, seeing that wall with those names of people and businesses and companies, and do you know the feeling of gratitude they must have seeing that these people gave money for this project to be built so we could care for them at the end of life. So it is very important that these people and businesses get a little recognition by us.
I think it's a very big recognition. I don't think it's a little one.
That's right.
And I think that the more that the big businesses, because they all have a little bit of money that they give to charities. And this is a charity that is needed for children. Every businessman, every corporation, no matter how big or how small, have got children. And hopefully all their children are fine as children and they don't have problems. But life's not like that. And they need help for degenerative cancer, whatever the illness is, that there is Cudeca Hospice for Children Care. And this is such an important function and project that we are now launching, or you are launching, and this is where we really, I feel, need more businesses to think, I've got a child, I've got a grandchild, something may happen to them.
That's right.
Where will they go?
True.
There's Cudeca, there's the day center. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. It's a home, it's not like a hospital, it's not like a normal hospice. There is not another children's hospice in Spain.
True.
This is the first. So I am, on your behalf, pleading for the big corporations. Think about your families and your extended families. One day you may need us. Think ahead, as Joan Hunt has been thinking from when she was the early 60s. She was thinking about palliative care and hospices. We should all think ahead the way Joan Hunt.
That's true. That is very true.
So that is my feeling, and I hope that I'm not stepping on your toes by asking for help.
Not at all. You're actually helping me to put it out there. It is actually what we try to do, Sandy. But of course, it's part of my daily routine at work. When I get in the office, I try every day, I try and reach one big business and try and get them to be involved with us in any way. But you know, what I cherish the most is when I have the fortune to meet small donors, just individuals, regular people trying to organize a charity event, trying to celebrate their birthday party, and saying, "Please don't bring me, don't give me presents.
No.
Give a donation to Cudeca."
Absolutely.
We are also there. We are with the big donors, which are actually, we can't forget about them. I mean, you just said it very right. They are the basis sometimes for big projects. But we have special, we try to give special attention to small donations, because since the beginning, I wasn't there 30 years ago, but I've been told that Joan Hunt was standing in a shop in Fuengirola with a tin in her hand.
Absolutely.
Asking for coins.
Absolutely.
We don't want to lose the essence of that.
Those
the coins.
They still exist.
Yeah, for sure.
Put your small money into the Cudeca cans.
Yeah.
Because from pennies, from acorns come.
That's right.
You know, it's just,
that's right.
It's the way of growing. But, you know, there are companies abroad that don't know about Cudeca as well.
And they should.
And they should know. Because we are European. It shouldn't only be Spanish. Okay, maybe other Spanish countries because of the language. But what about broadening? And what about companies that have got some businesses in Spain but are not Spanish companies?
Right.
What about helping us at Cudeca?
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. I'm open to those meetings to see these people, and we try and reach them. Yeah, every time someone tells me, "Oh, I know this person managing this or that. Do you want me to put you through him?" Of course, no question about it. And I go everywhere. Sometimes my managers ask me, "Esther, call me Esther. Where are you now?" Now I'm having this meeting, this place in the other side of Malaga. So that's what we do, and that's what we love doing for Cudeca, and we're not going to stop doing that. We are going to go with where the funds are, because we need them.
Absolutely. How many are you in your office, your team of people?
In my department, in communication and fundraising, we are 2, 3, now 3, 4 people, and we share our duties like among communication and fundraising, and then memberships. We say that we don't say membership, we say regular donors, and then teens as well. So we plan different strategies to reach this specific population. And so I think we're quite successful in what we do. However, we always need to do more.
What about the teenagers? Have you approached the teenagers?
We have, yeah.
Teenagers start doing, because one day they are going to be parents.
Let me tell you something, Sandy. We are, during the school year, from September to June, my colleague Jorge and I, we go to schools and speak to students and teachers about what we do. We've been doing this for a few years already. It's so successful. Kids and teens, they come to us and they ask questions you wouldn't imagine yourself you'd be answering. Like one kid asked me just this past year, one kid asked me, Esther, can you tell me, does dying hurt? I mean, if you start a conversation with them, they tell you a lot. They tell you stories. They email me. They organize little events in their schools, and then we go to collect the fundraising. Sometimes it's really big. Sometimes it's a small thing. But we're so pleased to do that and go back to schools and take a picture together and put it on social media, and we believe this is really important. It's taking a lot of our time, but we believe it's really important because we feel like we are, how to say that in English? We are putting the seed.
Yeah, it's the ground roots.
Exactly.
You are planting the seeds which will grow into big trees.
That's right. And
what has happened with Cudeca over the 30 years.
Exactly.
My last question to you is going to be, how did you answer that child?
That was very touching to me, because I lost my own brother to leukemia 5 years ago, and when he asked me that, I had to put myself together a bit.
You became your professional you.
That's right, and I said that I didn't know. I said sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but Cudeca is here to help that person go peacefully and joyfully as much as we can, as much as the patient can, and as much as the family can bear.
And with dignity.
And with dignity. And I think he was satisfied with the answer, but I felt, this was my personal impression, I saw in his eyes that he wanted to ask again. He wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he had someone by his side.
But it's an amazing
the last
question
days.
for a child to ask when you are out
That-
and about with Jorge at school.
It was incredible.
It really is very
That is
special.
one of the questions, but I had a few other questions, very deep
Yeah.
for teens and kids, and yeah.
Well, I think that we have started a wonderful program. I am now going to be talking to Dr. Anna, who is our new doctor, who
That's
is
right.
heading the cancer hospice for children here at Cudeca. And then I will be talking to our wonderful CEO, Dr. Marisa Martín.
Brilliant.
I've known for 30 years, and she's not only a friend, she is an amazing lady. And Joan Hunt, whom I knew, and we all still love her and still love the name of Joan Hunt as much as we love the name of Cudeca. Thank you for your time, and thank you for explaining what you do, how you do it, and 1 in a million.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm now going to be talking to Dr. Anna Devesa. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Correctly.
Okay. You are going to be, or you are, the doctor heading the new Children's Palliative Care Unit at Cudeca.
Yes, that's right.
I need to know, or I want to know, a little bit more about you as a person before we go on to what you're going to be doing with the children and the palliative care. How and when did you know that you wanted to be A, doctor, and B, palliative care with children?
Okay, I have studied medicine because I've always wanted to help people and do something for our community. So I've studied here in Malaga, and when I finished my studies, I went to Almeria to specialize in children medicine, in pediatricians. And during these 4 years, I was taught about children palliative care because one of my teachers there was an oncologist, an oncologist doctor, and so he taught us every week, and he told us about this new area of pediatrician. And when I heard about it, I felt that is what I wanted to do, because it's a very different way of treating and do medicine. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And so how long does it take? How many years did it take from becoming an ordinary doctor and then specializing in palliative care?
First of all, you have to study children medicine, pediatrician, and it takes you 4 years to prepare. And in the last year, when you have all the knowledge of children medicine, you choose what you want to specialize. And for me, it was 1 year of studying children palliative care, and after this year, I needed to practice. And that's why I went to a very big center in Madrid, where there is a very big unit with a large team of professionals, and I learned a lot during these 2 years there. And after that, I had the opportunity to practice on my own this knowledge in different hospitals of Spain.
Okay, but you were practicing for several years at different hospices or hospitals? Because there are other hospices, but they're not really for children. This is going to be the first children's hospice at Cudeca.
What we have now in Spain is units that are in hospitals, not hospice, hospitals, and from there we go to homes, to schools, and to provide this kind of attention. But we don't have a hospice model now in Spain.
So Cudeca is going to be the first one, and you are going to be heading it. Dr. Anna, are going to be the jefe of all your other doctors, nurses, psychologists, everybody. You are going to be helping them and training them, as well as looking after the children. Tell me more about how you see the hospice is going to be working for children. Because I see that we have got children's toys on the table. And so how do you go about when a child is very sick and comes here? What is the first thing that you do with the child and, of course, the parents? Because the parents don't know how to cope.
When we are attended a family, a child and a family, we see them as in the center of our care, and we focus on what they need in every moment, and to provide that kind of attention in every areas, the physical, the psychological, the social or spiritual area. And if we can't provide this care at home, then we need to find another model or another space designed as their home. Because they need to be comfortable, they need to enjoy the days they have all together. And children want to play, children want to have fun, children want to stay with siblings, with parents, with grandparents, and we need to let it happen. And they need to be cared, and also they need to play at the same time. So that's why we want to build a place where all these things happen at the same time.
Explain to me exactly what the word palliative care means. Can you explain it so without it being a medical term, so that the people out there can understand the word palliative?
Okay, palliative care is a kind of care, a way of care, where we deal with not only the symptoms of a disease, not only the body, but we deal with the mind and the spirit of a child that who is affected of an incurable disease. And also in this type of care, we include the family support. Children that are receiving palliative care have chronic diseases and seriously life-threatening diseases. And due to them, they have lots of problems and difficulties in their daily life. So what we are trying to do is to increase their quality of life, is to normalize more their daily life.
So you try and take away the illness that they are feeling and make it more like a happy place. That they are A, with family, B, there are other children here so they can socialize and they don't feel that they're the only ones that are not very well.
Yes, that's right. That's what we do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And who provides that kind of care? It's doctors, nurses, psychologists. What about physiotherapists? Anybody else that is involved with specifically with children?
Yes, well, yes. We need a large team to do this work properly. Yes, we need pediatricians, nurses, social workers, spiritual assistant, and also another kind of professionals as musician therapists or play therapists, because we want to care through the play, we want to care through the entertainment, and that's why we have to adapt our work to let it happen, to do this work, to this job, yes.
The new building is going to be very special.
Yeah.
From what I have seen at presentations that I've been to here, it's going to look like a home.
Yeah.
It's not going to look like a hospice. It's not going to look like a hospital. It's going to look like their home with toys and libraries and things that they can actually physically do. And I believe, and I may be wrong, that there's even going to be a swimming pool. Is that correct?
Yes. We want to build a swimming pool in the house because I think it's a nice way of entertainment and interact with different relatives, and also to do a therapy. So we think it is going to improve their symptoms and the quality of life through this water therapy.
Okay, now there used to be many years ago that you didn't talk about mortality, you didn't talk about death, and certainly you didn't talk about that when it was children. Today, how do you discuss that?
Yes.
How does it get interpreted?
Yes.
Without using words that may affect the child and also the family.
Yeah. Most of people are very afraid of death, and that's normal. And it also happens in medical professionals. We have spent a lot of time studying how, for example, birth process occurs, and we do how to attend it very properly, but we don't know a lot about the dying process. And that's because we have to face these kind of situations during our career, but we are so afraid of it, and just we run away, and so we never learn a lot about it. But children die every day, every day, and we can't ignore that. Yes, in Spain we have nearly 2,000, between 2,000, 3,000 children deaths every year.
Really?
Yes, and most than a half of them are because of diseases that need palliative care.
So not all of them are cancer?
No. Most of the children or the diseases we attend are congenital ones or very rare diseases. Also cancer, but not only cancer.
That's interesting.
Yes.
What is the youngest child that you personally have looked after?
Wow. Yes.
in your time of being a palliative care doctor, pediatrician?
I have attended children with 1-2 days of life. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So you know already then that they need palliative care?
Yes, we know before the birth, before they born.
Before they're born?
Before they're born, yes. Because sometimes we can detect the disease when the mother is pregnant. And there we have hard work to do, because we have to inform and prepare the parents to receive that notice that is very hard to face, because they have a lot of expectations because of their pregnancy. They want to have a healthy child. That's normal. That's so we have a lot of work to do in these cases. And when the child born, what we try to do is to care the child I want to say we need the child we need the child not to feel pain, not to suffer, to be okay. And also we need the parents to feel also well with this situation, and to connect with that child, and to make the situation easy for them, and to love them. I don't know how to...
Sure.
Yeah.
So you are doing a double job, really. You are doing a job of trying to take the pain away from the child. But the bigger job that you're doing is actually a mental job with the parents of how they are going to be able to accept what is wrong with the child, what they need to be facing with this child who is not come out as a perfect child. And that is double your work, because adults think and their minds can go all over the place. And here you are trying to soothe their minds, give them the strength that they can cope with it, and on the other side, helping the child not to suffer as much as you can help.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So it's a dual job.
Yes.
Really.
Yes. Very hard.
Tell me something. How did you find Cudeca?
Oh, how? Yes. I was working here in health centers, centro de salud. I don't know how to say it in English.
You said it correctly,
okay. Health center as a pediatrician.
Because you're from Malaga, aren't you?
Yes, because I'm from Malaga, so I have decided to come back to my original city, and I was working here for a few months in this health center, and I received a call of oncologist, and she told me that Cudeca was looking for a pediatrician for this new project. So I immediately wrote an email to Marisa, and I sent.
Marisa Martin, who's the CEO of Cudeca.
Yes, and I sent my curriculum. And then she called me back a week, the next week, the following week, and he told me he was interested in interviewing me.
And so she interviewed you.
Yes.
And did she tell you straight away that you are the person that they were looking for?
Yes.
Or did you have to
they felt I was the person, but I had to wait 2 days or something like this to confirm I was going to work here.
And how long have you been with Cudeca now?
Now 2 months and a half. Yeah.
Okay. And this is your very first own major project.
Yes, it is.
Which it must be so exciting.
Yes.
Is it fearful at all? Do you feel any anxiety about it?
Yes, I was feeling excited since the first time they told me about the project, because it's very different. It's very different from another kind of project of palliative care in Spain. They are trying to do something very new here, and I think it will be a very good thing for children here in our community. So I'm very excited.
Well, Anna, I think that you have come to the best place.
Yes.
It's going to be a magical, magical journey for you.
Yes.
To start right from the very bottom and see it grow and grow with Cudeca and the hospice and the children. There'll be days that your heart will be broken. There will be days that you are smiling, that you have achieved so much. But whatever your days are, you are here to head the team of the palliative care for Cudeca. And I say thank you so much.
Thank you for you.
So much about what you've done, what you're going to be doing, and how you explained palliative care. And I wish you lots of luck. And I look forward to seeing you in a year's time, and then you can tell me exactly how things are going.
Yes.
How does that sound?
Yes, it sounds very good, very good. I'm excited to
start. In the meantime,
start.
lots of luck, and you take care. I usually leave things, the good things, to the last, and this is the best thing. I have left the best person for this last cup of coffee, and this is, I call you my friend, Dr. Marisa Martín. Hello, and how are you?
Hello, Sandy. Well, I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Gosh, do you realize it is 30 years since we first met, when Cudeca actually started? Joan Hunt, Susan Hannah, and yourself. We were standing in a kitchen. It had no furniture, nothing. It was an empty building. And look where you have come over the 30 years. You've cared for people, you've looked after people, you've given them dignity, you've helped families. Why don't we go back before we tell everybody else about the new project that we are launching? But let's go back 30 years, because there is a different generation, and also there are people from abroad who don't know Cudeca, the hospice, the wonderful hospice in Benalmádena. Give me a little potted history about Cudeca, how it started.
Well, you know the story very well, don't you, Sandy? Actually, I was thinking about this morning, just really recapping on the figure and the personality of Joan Hunt. Joan was an incredible lady. She became, from not having any studies, to be one of the directives in a great big company in UK, and then she retired, early retirement, here on the Costa del Sol. And I met her when her husband had cancer and was terminally ill, in a little palliative care unit that had just started in 1990. And after caring for her husband, Joan was very touched with the experience of coming from a big hospital, acute hospital, very active, into this little, very poor starting unit, but with palliative care philosophy and with that vision of trying to care for the patient and the family as a whole, and not only the symptoms but all the other needs and problems that this illness can cause, especially emotionally, spiritually, socially. So she was very touched. She always talked about it as the dramatic change from one place to the other. And after being touched, as all compassionate people do, instead of just thinking, okay, this has been nice, she wanted to do action, she wanted to do something to make anybody else on the Costa del Sol or where she lived have access to this type of care. And you couldn't say no to Joan Hunt. So she came back to the hospice and to the little palliative care unit in the hospital and said, I'm thinking that I want to start a hospice in Malaga. And you know this story. I always tell everybody that I said that's impossible. But Joan had great faith in people, and I think that's one of her biggest values. She really was confident that why not? People are generous, people are compassionate too, people care for their families, for their friends. So it was a matter of getting the right project and getting the right story out. And that's how we began. She said, I'm going to do it, are you going to come with me? And that's how we began 30 years ago, from nothing. Just a lady in her early 60s, not knowing the language, not rich.
She was a foreigner.
Yeah, she was a foreigner.
We talk
that's
about
true.
Foreigners. She was an actual foreigner that didn't speak any Spanish.
That's right.
Didn't know anything about Malaga, really.
That's right.
Didn't know how people would respond, but she believed. She had such a strong belief in her dream, what she wanted to do, and how she wanted to do it.
And she was confident, very confident, and she inspired you with that confidence. So she says, it happens in UK, why can't it happen here? There's no difference between people, Marisa. So
that's true. That's true.
And that's how we began.
And it was because of the sponsorship of people here, mainly the British people to begin with.
That's right.
And it was coffee mornings, it was parties, it was any way to raise a little bit of money at a time. And then, of course, people started to hear about it, and they also then began to hear the word Cudeca.
That's right.
And
it was very early days. We're talking about 1992.
Yes.
When we were constituted. 1991, I cared for Fred Hunt. And cancer was a taboo word here, and nobody knew what palliative care actually was. So it was very difficult not only to talk about palliative care, but to talk about hospice care. So as you say, it was really the English-speaking community living here in Malaga that really made the cause. They really went with Joan Hunt, and we began fundraising in 92, and only 2 years after, we were contracting our first home care team. So that's incredible.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
That doesn't happen anywhere else.
No.
Because it takes years to get people really together and to get things going. She got it done with you, with Susan, and I'm sure with a team of people that you brought in. And the 30 years have just disappeared, but in the meantime, you've enabled people to leave this world being cared for with love, dignity, and helping their families, and also psychologically, which plays a very big part in illness, and certainly something like cancer.
A huge part.
Now
Sandy.
we say the word cancer. In those days, it was called the big C.
That's right.
Which was such an ugly, I think, terminology, but that it was under the counter.
Here in Spain, they would say a serious illness, but they wouldn't say the word cancer. So, it's been taboo for a long, long time. And now, I think people, if you're asked today, if you have cancer, would you like to know? The majority of us would say, I want to know I want to know anything about myself. If I'm ill, I want to know. But in those days, the doctors, the families decided that we had to protect the patient, right, and not tell him or not tell her. So it was quite a difficult situation to handle, because we only have patients that get worse and worse.
Sure.
So it was difficult times. Nowadays, people are more have more autonomy in a way, and have a right to know, and they ask for their rights, right? So I think it's more face-to-face situation of the illness. But Joan was that way too. I mean, the name of Cudeca, I was a bit nervous about putting the word cancer in the name. And she says, come on, Marisa, if we're going to talk about caring for people with cancer, we have to tell the people what we're doing. So she was, straight. She was
spot on.
That's right.
She called a spade a spade. There was nothing more than that.
No.
What she wanted, she got, and she found a way of getting it. And now 30 years have gone, and we have got this wonderful hospice going where you care for people constantly, day by day. And you have progressed to even further. And this is what this program really is about today. It is the new project, a very big one. And this is the last wish of Joan Hunt. Her dream, her last dream before she left us, was that children were involved in palliative care, that there would be a home for them. And tell me how that home is going to be.
Well, you've said it very nicely. Joan was always thinking ahead of us, right? As you said, after 30 years, we have now the hospice with an inpatient unit with 10 beds. We have home care teams, 7 home care teams. Right now, the teams can be caring for an average of 500 patients at home. Wow. And we have our daycare centre. So that was the project. Many people would go to Joan, just going back to the 30 years, and said, "Oh, Joan, I'm sure you couldn't imagine this dream come true." And she would inside think, "What you say? What you're saying? This is exactly what we wanted to do, right?" So this is what we want to redo again for children, in a way. It's like doing a little new hospice project just for children. So we want everything again to be there for them. We want an inpatient unit, which is only Joan's house. I mean, not only, it's going to be a very special place, because Joan, in her last 7-8 years, she was having many mobility problems, so she couldn't drive, and we really wanted to care for her and for her to be in a safe place. And of course, she wanted to keep an eye on us. So
That's for sure.
That's for sure, and on Cudeca.
In a nice way.
And so finally she sold her house, and with her own resources she built this little house at the end of our inpatient unit, because there was a piece of land there that was perfect for that. But she only built it with one condition, and it was that when she was not there, when she died, that we would use it to keep on caring, to keep on, achieving our mission. And we both thought that it would be perfect for children. So we talked about this many times, and she was very happy to know that that was going to happen. So she's not here for now more than a year, and we started the project. We started our 1 in a Million campaign, and we started to find the ways to really, going back in history 30 years and beginning a little new hospice. So the hospice, or the children's hospice, is going to have Joan's house as the inpatient unit, only 1 bed. It's not very normal that children die. That's something very good that we have in comparison to adults. But there are many, many children with illness that will not be cured, and at some stage they will die. So we want to have the house there for respite care, for children that are in their last days or weeks, or for a symptom control, something that's not controlled at home. So that will be what the purpose of the house, a very special house. And I always say we don't need it to be Disneyland, like we have our cups of teas. It will have many things like any house that has children. Yes. It will have toys, but it needs to feel like a home. That's what we want to achieve with the house. It needs to be modern, it needs to be very informatically connected to the hospice. We need the nurses' station to be constantly in contact with the house, but it needs to feel like a home. That's what we're looking for. And of course there will be a home care team, a specialised pediatric doctor that I think you've just met.
Correct.
And she will be in charge of leading her team. And the same as with adults, she'll have the nurses, the psychologist, social worker, physiotherapist, occupational therapist. We want to have art therapist, music therapist, play therapist. You have play therapist.
Wow.
And we want to have all these types of clowns or whatever, will help the child and the family, especially the family and the brothers and sisters and siblings, to cope with the situation. At the end, they all have to learn to cope. We can't.
You can't hide it.
No,
it's there.
It's their reality.
Sure.
So the more they can cope with it emotionally, or in the type of care the child needs, the more quality of life they will all have, and that's important for us. And when times get rough, we'll be there, and when times are good, we'll be there. So I think that's the project. And of course, the daycare centre. Sorry, I forgot. The same as in adults, we want to have a very special daycare centre, where the children can come perhaps in the afternoons after. Some go to school, some don't, but we'll see if we're going to do it in morning or afternoons, or perhaps morning and afternoons. So the child comes and has different therapies, not medication, different therapies with other children.
Yes.
And they can...
Interacting.
That's right, socialise and feel that they're not so unique. There's more people like them, and sometimes that helps, and just sharing things. And the same with the parents. We'll have, groups of parents to be talking with the doctors and nurses. The psychologists will work with them a lot. And hopefully, we will be able to keep the child and the family at home mainly. That's our objective, because that's the objective of nearly all the families. But and try that when the end comes, that it's where the family really feels they want to be.
Sure.
Many children, unfortunately, up to now, when no palliative care was there available for them, ended up in an emergency service in a intensive care unit, dying alone.
Awful.
I've got personal experience about that. So that's what we want to. That's our main objectives: quality of life, dignity, a lot of life. We want to add life to days. That's our theme, our logo.
Yeah.
And especially when the time comes, we want to be with dignity and peace, and where the family wants it to be.
Sure.
Right? It can be in the hospice, it can be at home.
Now, your 1 in a Million campaign, how do you feel? What has that done for you personally?
Well, I feel overwhelmed. It's been incredible, Sandy, incredible. Because we were quite nervous, I must say, to say that we wanted to raise €1 million. It was a bit pretentious, we thought.
Putting the name Joan Hunt in front of it, it's never going to be pretentious. It'll happen.
Yes, we knew that, but I must say it was Martin Nathan from TRE who really did it all. He was determined too, in a way, like Joan. And he called us with the name of the campaign. I think you could do the campaign called 1 in a Million, because Joan was 1 in a million.
Absolutely.
And we said, that sounds great. Thank you, Martin. Let's talk about this, blah, blah, blah. And then we were talking about how much it was going to cost us to run what we thought we could achieve for the Children's Hospice in the first 4 years. And then we wanted to achieve that amount to give security to the project. We don't want to begin a project and then next year say we don't have the funds, right? And that's the way Joan told us to do things, by the way. So when we opened the inpatient unit because we began with home care in 1994, then we came to the centre in the year 2000, and we opened daycare. And inpatient unit was the last, and we opened it in 2005. But we had to have enough money in the bank to run 3 years of the hospice. That's how we do things in Cudeca. That's how Joan told us. So we had the same philosophy with the children's hospice. We had to have enough money to run whatever for 4 years. And we were thinking about a very small amount. And so when we did all the counting of it, it was nearly €1 million, more or less €1 million. So,
and that would be for 3 years?
Yeah, that's right, for 4 years. For 4 years.
Okay.
So Martin said that we had to raise €1 million. And we said, well, that's quite a lot of money. He said, you have to go for it. It's Joan's memory. And I think that gave us a lot of strength. To think, how would Joan do this? And she would go for it. She would go for it.
She would find a way.
That's right. So we thought, well, we have to honour her memory, and we have to do it her way. That's what she's taught us.
And you've raised the $1 million?
We've raised the $1 million.
And how did you raise the $1 million?
Well, with a lot of support, I must say. as you know, first the campaign managed to achieve 400,000 euros, which was
Incredible.
incredible. And I must say there, 300,000 euros came directly from people giving a small donation, not a huge donation. And I'm very proud of the team of Cudeca, because we did our personal, challenge with 1 in a million. And between all of us, we were raised 50,000 euros. So that was a great achievement too. That's the level of commitment of the people that we have here. So very proud of that, Sandy. And then we have a very special friend of Cudeca. It's Dr. Yusuf Hamid. He came to us 10 years ago. And as he always says, it was love at first sight with Joan Hunt.
Yes.
And with the project itself, but especially with Joan. They became very, very close friends. And Dr. Yusuf Hamid is a very humble and very caring person. And his wife, Farida, they're both very committed people. And he had a personal commitment with palliative care, actually. He has a hospice like ours in India, in Pune, which is like 4 times ours. I mean, it's a huge hospice, which he totally supports, right? It's run by his donation annually, and they can do whatever they want. I mean, they do training, they do research, they care for people in the hospice, they care for people at home. Now they're doing palliative care for children within the hospitals. So, yes, he's very, very active and very intelligent man.
An amazing man.
An amazing man. So
in many, many ways.
Oh, we're going to say in all the ways he is. He's devoted now and connected to Cudeca. I think that Joan was our angel here. Now we have her in heaven. But before she left us, she left another angel.
Absolutely.
And he's committed himself to Cudeca. He tells me this every time I see him. Marisa, if you need anything, we're here for you. And when we're not here, his niece and his family that are the ones that are going to care for his great legacy will be caring for you too. So that's the level of humanity of Dr. Yusuf Hamid and Farida. And he came to one of our presentations of 1 in a million, and he said he was given straightforwardly 100,000 euros to the 1 in a million campaign. So that's the way we got to 400,000 euros, and we were very happy with that one. But then he decided in another big presentation we had of this building to top it up to whatever was missing for that €1 million. So that's the way we really achieved the €1 million. It's incredible. He's an incredible man and devoted, as I say, to Cudeca and what we do.
And we are sitting in the library, which is named Farida Hamid Library. So their names are all over because they belong to Cudeca.
They are part of Cudeca, it's right.
They really, really are. Thank you, dear Lord, for them, really. And Joan, I am sure that you are smiling from up there because you're watching everything happen.
Well, it's what she said. It's what she believed in from the beginning.
Yes.
There are incredible people in this world.
Yeah.
And she was confident. And she wasn't confident in big donors, I must say. She was confident more in what Cudeca has been built on, which is little donations from many, many, many people. Whatever everybody can do. It's not a matter of giving a lot. It's a matter of giving what you really can.
What you can afford.
Afford and from your heart.
Yeah.
And really feeling part of the project. It's not
Correct.
to give a donation and go away. We need people to really believe in what we're doing and be part of it, be responsible with us of it.
If I'm not wrong, I think that if people gave 250 euros when the new building is constructed, there will be little plaques with their names on, as you did with the actual Cudeca,
That's right.
everybody has got plaques on the walls of their names and their loved ones. So you again will be following what you did 30 years ago.
That's right. And it has a special meaning this time because many of the children that we're going to care for, we're already caring for, because we've been caring for children now for 10 years, really. It's not something new. It's just that we're going to do it especially now.
And in a modern way as well, today's way.
That's right. And with the resources that it needs. But many of these children have very rare diseases, illnesses, and they feel very abandoned by society, by the health system, and the families have to fight a lot to get the support they need, and sometimes they need very specialized support. They have children with machines to be able to breathe, or they have children with intravenous type of medication, and they're at home, and children that nearly nobody but the mum and dad can be with because they're the ones that know how to care for that child. So that wall with all the names is a way of saying them, you are important. You know, we do care.
Yeah.
So that's what it means.
How do you feel? What is your next step? Because Joan has been in your life for so many years that you now think the way Joan does,
right.
and you must have something tucked away before we end this to give me a little snippet of what's next.
Well, I think we've got enough on our plate, Sandy, I must say, because to set up the children's hospice is very, very important for us, and especially that daycare centre. There are no daycare centres like Cudeca's one in Spain, and I think it gives so much quality of life to people that I'm really determined to have a very important and special daycare centre. This building that we're sitting in is another huge project, I must say. We really want to spread the word about palliative care in 3 ways. One, that people understand that this is a need, this is a right, and they have to support it, because if not, not only us, I mean, in the whole Spain, we have palliative care services from the hospitals, but we're way under the need. We need much more resources. There has to be psychologists in the team, physiotherapists in the team. So we really want to advocacy, that word, to defend the need for palliative care from this institute. Of course, we want to do a lot of training, and our target is especially Latin America because of the language. They like to come to Spain to train, and we have everything together. We have the training centre and all the care, and they have different kinds of care, as I said, inpatient, day care, home care. They have psychologists, physio. So it's a very special place to learn. And we talk about our special kind of caring. Well, there's a special kind of teaching and researching and sharing, which is the Cudeca model too. So we really want to put this centre as a reference internationally for training. And research. When you talk about research, it seems like all the research in our area should be for treating cancer, which of course is a must, and it has to be. But we also need to research in palliative care. We're a very, very new discipline, only 30 years in Spain and nearly 60 in UK, but still a very, very young medical discipline. And we have to learn more about pain, and we have to learn more about appetite and fatigue, and also the emotional side, how to care for, how to respect people, how to empower them in these last days. You know, there's millions of little things that can make your day, or, you know, whoever's day, special and better. And we want to know about those details. We want to go right down to the details and research on them, right? We have a lady in the inpatient unit that can't swallow anything, right? So she has her nutrition and she can live nicely, but she can't taste food. And Anna, our pediatrician, says, well, there's a machine that makes it, I don't know, it makes food like air, and then you can put it in your mouth and at least you taste it. So
Really?
Really. And it was Anna, the pediatrician, that brought this idea to us. So there's many things that are small things that make a big difference, and we want to be there.
Okay. You're going to be there with the new Cudeca Cancer Hospice for Children, which is, I believe, the first one in Spain. I know that there are other places that look after children, but it's not a hospice.
That's right.
And this is the difference. It's a Cudeca Hospice for Children.
Of course, and it's so important, the extra that hospice bring in.
Yeah.
Because they bring in the community, they bring in volunteers, they bring in an environment which is not hospital, it's not medicalized, and they bring in
Feeling.
That's right. I'm not saying that you don't have the best teams in the hospitals too, because I mean I began there. I'm a hospital doctor of Paliative Care Unit, and I worked there for many years, nearly 20 years before I left everything to come to Cudeca. But it's a special environment, and the environment itself is also helpful. It's therapeutical too. So it's important to have the hospices. It has something special that hospitals will never have, I'm afraid.
At this stage, I want to say, let's raise our cups of coffee or tea. And this is to thank you, Dr. Marisa Martín, CEO of Cudeca, my friend, many people's friends, and here is to bless the new centre that is going to be opening very soon.
Thank you, Sandy.
Take care, God bless, and thank you for your time, and certainly for your energy.
Well, it's like a child for me. It's one of my child's
It is your
children.
baby.
That's right, it's my baby. So thank you, Sandy.
Let's drink to that.
Yes.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that was quite a program from Cudeca, celebrating the life of the late Joan Hunt, celebrating 30 years of Cudeca, and also celebrating the new hospice for children, the Cudeca Cancer Care Hospice, which is the first in Spain, and it has been my pleasure to share the interviews that I've had, the guests that I've had, being Esther, Dr. Anna, and Dr. Marisa Martín. And I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in another cup of coffee, which will probably be back in my office. It won't be in this wonderful library that is the name of Farida Hamid. Take care, God bless, and look after yourself. Bye-bye for now.